for my own company was to first identify what my strengths and weaknesses were, and then go and find people that have different strengths. I've definitely made the mistake of winning a really big client and thinking, oh, I'm too busy now, so I have to spend all of my time helping this client. And then they stopped about 12 months later. Some people don't like the word entrepreneur, but whatever you want to call yourself, business leader, business owner, it is stressful. I found meditation and guided meditation, in particular sleep hypnosis and guided meditation, were really the things that got me back on track.
And that's next on Bootstrapping Your Dreams show. So, the big question is this: how are ambitious people like us, who don't have a lot of resources, did not go to Ivy League colleges, were not born into wealth, how do we become resourceful enough, use our creativity, our dedication, and a little bit of crazy to bootstrap our way to realizing our dreams? Whether it is launching a new company, launching a new app, or making it to the top of the corporate ladder? That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answer. If you like this video, do not forget to hit that like button now. Or if you want us to improve our content, go ahead and hit the thumbs down button and give us your feedback in the comment section below. Here at Tetranoodle, we are passionate about entrepreneurship, technology, and innovation. Every week, we bring you insightful and engaging interviews, tips, tricks, and strategies to help you grow your business or rise in your corporate profession. So if you're new here, please consider subscribing. And do not forget to hit that bell icon so that you are notified when we publish new content. Hello and welcome to this new episode of Bootstrapping Your Dreams show. Today we'll be talking with Philip Pelucha. So Philip is a CEO and founder of Number One Property Group. The firm has a reputation for being able to find the top talent no matter how complex the market is. Phil is also a football coach, and remember he's in UK, so being a football coach in UK gives you a celebrity, right? So welcome Philip to our podcast today. We are so excited to have you here.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
All right. So tell us a little bit about yourself, your journey, and how did you become this rockstar recruiter?
Good question. I don't think anybody wakes up one day and says, I want to be a recruiter. Most people say they fell into this industry. I actually didn't. I chose it. And if I'm being really callous, I actually chose it because I did a Google search for the jobs in sales where I could make the most money with the skill set that I had. And I kind of filled in a quiz of the skill set that I had. And at the time, I'd finished uni, I'd been an estate agent, I'd worked as a branch manager. I kind of got bored of that and wanted to go and do something else. I've been doing a lot of cold calling, commission only jobs, just using my sales nous to get by. And recruitment came up at the top of the list, and I thought, why not? Let's try that. But you know what? It's all joking aside, that is how I chose it. But I love the industry I've been in. I've now been in it for over a decade. I've worked internally for some of the biggest names there are in my sector. I've worked for some startups and small companies. I've literally taken companies from 15 people to 250 people. So I've been part of that growth with startups. I've owned and sold startups. Number One Property Group was a startup. I'm interested to talk about the bootstrapping stuff because believe you me, there was a fair bit of that.
Yeah, for sure. All right. And just before the interview, we were talking about your interesting concepts, how you brought some concepts from marketing into recruitment. Do you want to share some of that with the audience as well?
Yeah, of course. So I think one of the things that really interested me is there's a lot of skepticism, isn't there? When you talk to somebody about something that's working well in their sector, you often hear them say things like, oh, that's good, but it wouldn't work in my sector because... And I really don't like that because that's just really inside the box thinking. There is usually a way of making this work for what you do. So I'll share the example with your viewers and listeners that we shared off air just before. There was a client that I was working with, and our salaries were quite low. In fact, they were below industry average. We didn't have a lot of money. What we did have was a really fantastic commission structure that allowed you to really earn a lot of money. It was sort of we know we're paying you a poor basic, so we'll make it up to you in commission and give you more of a slice of the pie. It was that kind of deal. And one of the other things they did as a company was they really nurtured you and took care of you and provided you with the training. It was, because the company don't mean to sound disrespectful, because the company didn't have a lot of money at that time, you were really valuable to them. They wanted to invest as much of their time and effort as they could into you to help you to become better, because then you could grow. The problem that we had from a recruitment perspective was that there's so much nonsense and noise in the industry, and there's so many people that lie when it comes to adverts, and there's so many fake adverts out there from recruiters who are phishing, that a job advert where you say, here's a low basic, but you can earn a decent amount on target earnings, was not standing out. Nobody was listening to this, because it was, they were being told they could earn the same amount of money at other places with a higher basic. And it was becoming increasingly harder to compete, even though we had what I knew to be a much better offering than most of the people in the industry that were lying to get people through the door.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I said was, well, look, people buy people. So let's go and interview the people who have started in the business. We'll get them on camera, just 30 to 40 seconds, talking about what they've done, where they'd come from, what their reservations were joining the company, how they feel now, and how they're getting on. And we combine those into a bit of a montage. So every time we put out an advert, or every time we were emailing somebody that we found either on LinkedIn or just sort of by a normal email, or sometimes on Facebook, we would include the YouTube link to this compilation of people who were like them in their shoes, with the same reservations and questions that they did, watching them, answering them, saying, I'm really happy, this is a great choice, I'm earning good money, I'm being really taken care of, I feel respected. And actually what happened off the back of it was, it worked so well from an employee branding perspective that we went from having a real recruitment issue in a market with a talent shortage, to hiring so many people, we had to rent the office next door because the fire regulations were complaining to us, saying that we now had too many people in the building. So what a story to go from we can't recruit to we've now got too many. And the great thing about that was it then got picked up, as you said, as a marketing campaign as well. So they started then doing that with client testimonials as well. So as well as putting marketing material out there to educate the market, at the end of that would be video testimonials from clients like them and customers like them to say, hey, these guys really helped us out here. This was our problem. This was our story. It resonates with people, because let's be honest, it's the story that you buy, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. That's for sure. That's an amazing story. Yeah, and just before the interview, you also sort of coached me on getting these testimonials. Thanks a lot for that. This goes to show how small little things, small little nuggets of information through these conversations can go a long way and help somebody out, and when they're looking for some new ideas.
Hugely so. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. And now you are also a founder of this campaign, #BanSalesCV. So what's that all about?
So I detest sales CVs, or resumes, as you would probably call them over there. They're terrible, aren't they? They're extremely dated. Most people are surprised to learn that the first CV was used in the 1400s by Leonardo da Vinci. It's ridiculous, isn't it, how old the CV is? It became mainstream in the 1500s as a way of communicating your skill set to help you get a job. The fact that we're still using it today to kind of judge candidates is unbelievable. And there's a few reasons I don't like it. Okay, so the first reason is they're really poor. They all say the same stuff. Everybody's a team player. Everybody works hard. It's once you've seen one, you've seen 500. And it's not an accurate representation of you either. I've met people whose CVs are absolutely incredible, and I think they've sent someone else to the interview. And I've met people who I thought, this person is going to be a nightmare. Their CV is horrific. How would you send this out with so many spelling mistakes and grammatical errors and all this kind of stuff? And then you meet them and, they could sell sand to the Arabs. They're incredible. So it's not fit for purpose, is why I don't like sales CVs. CVs in general, but particularly for sales CVs, because it's a much more extrovert sort of business relationship kind of conversation. So what we do instead, and we've done this with some success for a number of years now, we started the process internally, and it's helped a number of clients grow. As I mentioned before, there was a client that we took from 15 to 250. That period was in just under 2 years, and it was using this strategy. And during that time, they went from being absolutely nobody to being the number one in their niche within the UK and won an Employee of Choice award.
Wow.
So it really does work, and honestly, it's it sounds like a faff, but it's worth going with. So all we simply did was we changed the structure to say, well, we don't want a CV, we want an achievement sheet. So anybody that's ever worked in marketing or PR, this could also be used like a one sheet, okay? This is who you are, your name, address, contact details, where you've worked with the dates, and some key achievements. That's it. No more of this, I'm ethical, I'm a team worker. I mean, it's boring us to death. Stop. Just tell us the key achievements, because then that works at any level, doesn't it? You can be a CEO with this, or you can be a student who has no experience, and the stuff that's on here is the things that you're good at and the skills that you've picked up at uni and all this kind of stuff. So it's really clever. And then what that does is it narrows that CV down into just the important bits. Okay, so that's your achievement sheet. That's the next stage that goes with it is a video entry. And the video application tends to be 1 to 2 minutes long at most. It's a selfie style recorded video. And I absolutely love these videos. We've seen some amazing ones. We've seen some car crash ones. But either way, you know, I really admire people that will just get out their phone, have a conversation, show who they are. And it really shows who you are and why you're interested in this position. Because, you know, it gets rid of the time wasters that just go onto the boards and go click, 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 and apply for everything. You know, because any of us will know, if you've ever called any of those people, they say, what role was this? Sorry, I've applied for loads. No business owner or recruiter ever wants to hear that, because it's like, well, you're not really interested in what we're doing, are you? You've just applied to 20 and hope you get a job. And that's really not what we're about. We're about finding people that are ready to take their career to the next level, find out what it is that makes them tick, what kind of culture they're going to thrive in, and then use these kind of video applications to match the people together so that you can get that first impression straight away and say, yes, I resonate with that company, and yes, I resonate with that candidate.
That's amazing. Yeah, video is taking off all over the internet, and you know, incorporating that into the recruitment process is just ingenious for sure. So you call this concept what? A cover video, I believe.
A cover video, yeah. So we have a cover video, and then which is kind of like your cover letter. And the reason I call it the cover video is the structure of it is usually around, hi, I'm Phil. I'm really interested in this position with your company because of X, Y, and Z. When I read it, the bits that really stood out to me were this, this, and this. What I've done previously, as you can see from the sheet that I've sent over, is this, this, and this. It's really taught me how to use these skill sets, which by looking at your website and doing a bit of market research, I can see is an area that you're clearly looking to kind of boost as a business. You're doing well, but I think I can help you take that to the next level. A little bit of personal story about me. I'm a massive Liverpool fan. I spent thousands of pounds to go all the way to Kiev to watch us lose. So it didn't matter what it cost. I was making sure we were in Madrid to watch us win. We did. We won number 6. And it doesn't matter how much trouble I got in with the missus or the bank manager. I'll do it again tomorrow.
Awesome. That's great. Thanks a lot for sharing that.
You know what I mean? That kind of message really will tell a potential employer just enough to say, I like this person. I can see myself getting on with this person. Or the opposite. No, I don't think they're going to fit here at all. It's not going to work culturally. And let's be honest, we'd rather find that out now than 4 to 6 months into a process after you've already hired them. And now it's costing you money and it's another mishire.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So a lot of our audience, they are bootstrappers, they are entrepreneurs, professionals. Do you think this technique will work for attracting the talent, even if they are just starting off, they're just launching a new startup?
Hugely so. So we work with a lot of startups with this kind of strategy and structure. And the reason we do that is I find startups fascinating. As I said, I've often been involved in startups. I'm trying to be really honest with you as well. A lot of startups can't afford our rates at that stage. So it's not like they're able to come to us and say, okay, please can you go and find us a top performer? Nor are they usually able to pay the top salaries either. So you find yourself in quite a difficult position. So I wanted, if I may, to share the story of how I grew my business, because I'd learned a lot of lessons from other people in different sectors. I've then tried to apply that to my business. It's worked really well with Number One Property Group. And yeah, I'd like to share some of those ideas, if I may, because they've really worked for us. So I do a lot of videos, a lot of podcasts, and increasingly more blogs. And as difficult as it is sometimes, because you write a sentence or you'll say something and you think, do I really want to put that out? I'm trying to be as honest as I possibly can be. And I know that that will alienate some of the industry. I know that a lot of recruiters don't like me, for example, because I share a lot of their secrets, and that's okay. Not everybody's going to like me, provided my clients like me. That's all that matters. But the reason I did this was actually because I wanted to grow my business, not just with the right clients, but with the right partners working with me as well. I definitely believe in partnerships. I mean, nobody is going to do this alone. It's just not going to happen. The more people there are in your network, the better. The more heads working at this, the better. So my recruitment strategy for my own company was to first identify what my strengths and weaknesses were, and then go and find people that have different strengths, preferably in areas where I'm weak. And then what I did, pure and simply, I didn't have the cash, particularly when I first started, to be paying salaries. So I offered them a slice of the pie, and I offered them a really decent slice of the pie. So I'd say, listen, come in, you do your part of the process, and you'll get 20% of the fee. And then I'll bring in somebody else to do another part of the process and say, tell you what, you come in and we'll do this, and you'll get 20% of the fee. So I might be giving away at the early stage sort of 40-50% of my fee, but I'd rather have 50% of $1 million than 100% of nothing. And it's about kind of getting that right. So they really came on that journey with me. All of my core team, and to this day they're the same actually. All of my core team, we work on a profit share revenue. We all kind of take a slice of the pie. Nobody is taking home a big salary, and it keeps us all hungry, but it also keeps us all a really united team. Every aspect of my business is helping out another aspect. My head of sales earlier today, for example, took some time off on a Friday afternoon from looking for clients to help us resource for candidates, because we've got a big project on at the moment, and we're working with somebody, and we needed to kind of get all hands on deck. And despite the fact that that's not their side of the business, they wanted to jump on. So it completely removes the whole "that's not my job" culture, because then you become a partner, you share a slice of this business, and you behave as such. You behave like an entrepreneur, and as an entrepreneur, we need to wear many hats, right?
Yeah, for sure. And that brings up an interesting point, because I have worked with a number of startups where they actually almost got wiped out, or they were almost on the brink of getting wiped out because of hiring few bad employees or people, who were not contributing. So tell us a little bit about that, like how important it is to hire the right type of employee, and how do you what are the characteristics of a good employee or a good resource?
Good question. Yeah, really good question. So I think the first thing I'd say is make sure that you actually need to hire before you hire. I genuinely grew my business so much in the first sort of 12 to 18 months using Upwork. Upwork was phenomenal. Instead of bringing in a local and usually more expensive, if I'm honest, kind of agent, I went and got quotes from local companies to get a website done, for example, and I was getting sort of 1,500, 2,000, 2,500 kind of quotes. I went and hired somebody from the Philippines who did it for $5 an hour, and within 10 hours, I had an all singing, all dancing website that was absolutely fantastic. I actually paid almost double, actually, as by way of a bonus, because it was still phenomenal. But even looking at it that way, I was spending $100, maybe over $100 for this fantastic website that's something half as good I would have paid comfortably 10 times for locally. So Upwork is phenomenal. Again, this is where it's important as an entrepreneur. I mean, we all like to say we can do anything. And we, how many entrepreneurs and how many of us have sat there and tried to watch videos on YouTube or read books, and we're currently sat there learning how to code or design a website or create a chat bot or set up an email marketing campaign when we haven't got a clue about HTML. The amount of time that we spend trying to learn things because we think, we can save ourselves some money just by trying to learn it. Honestly, the greatest lesson I ever learned when setting up my own business was to identify what I could do. Those were my core skills. And then I learned to either bring people in to do them full time around me, or if we need to bring temporary resource using Upwork or something like that, that's exactly what we do to get to where we need to go. But I don't anymore spend 5 and 6 hours watching videos trying to figure out how to create a WordPress site.
Awesome. And I've read some of your content. You talk about this concept of 4 pillars that sustain your recruitment process. So what are these 4 pillars?
So 24-hour recruitment is the first one, I'd say. So the 24-hour recruitment is, we live in a 24-hour world. It's effectively my way of saying, the age of having an agency where people turn up and say, can I register for your agency? Can I do this? And it's between the hours of 9 and 5 or whatever. Those days are gone. The vast majority of, even since I've started in recruitment. So what an interesting trend, for example, is most people used to apply for jobs on the weekend. And the reason they used to apply for the jobs on the weekend was we all had those big clunky laptops and huge mobile phones that were quite hard to use. So you'd go home after your week at work and think, I want a new job. And you'd start looking and you'd start applying, right? Yeah. The weekend is now the worst time for candidates to apply for jobs. And the reason for that is they've got stuff to do on the weekend. They want to go and have fun. They want to go out and do something else. So the time that they apply for jobs is usually around 11 o'clock on Monday morning when they've had the coffee, remembered how much they hate this, and on their first break, they're now on their phone applying for jobs. And it's phenomenal to watch it. Absolutely phenomenal. I mean, there was a company who had when I was joining them, they had a really bad retention rate. And at the time, there was a job board here in the UK that was very popular with salespeople. And you could see when somebody was live and somebody was active. So as an exercise to show them how bad it was, I did a search on their company name on the account and showed them how many people that were sat on their sales floor were currently active on the job board applying for jobs at that very second. I see. And it wasn't to get anybody in trouble. It was to say, look at the severity of the issue. So I think, if I'm being really honest, the Upwork thing is really huge. But when it comes time to recruit, whether you're a startup or whether you're a Fortune 500, it really doesn't matter. It's the same concept, which is you have to find people that will join you on your journey. And to be able to attract those people, you need to be really clear about what your journey is, has been, where it's going, where you'd like it to go, and be really clear about the kind of people you'd like to work with because of that. And that's what resonates with people, because people will see your story. And it's, people say to me all the time, the candidates leave for more money. No, candidates leave managers. Candidates leave cultures they no longer believe in. Candidates leave projects that don't fire them up or get them out of bed. So if we know that that's why people leave, we should be doing more about that to attract candidates to our business. We should be saying, this is our story, this is our journey, this is where we're going, and this is the opportunity for somebody that does this, this, and this. What do you say? And then only the people that will apply, and only the people in particular that will send videos, are the ones who are truly interested in that opportunity.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. All right. And now tell us a little bit, you already spoke about how you grew the company and, you made progress, but did you make any mistakes along the way? What were the hurdles that you had to overcome in growth of your own company?
Good question. I think I've made most mistakes. I've definitely made the mistake of winning a really big client and thinking, oh, I'm too busy now, so I have to spend all of my time helping this client. And then they stopped about 12 months later. They had a change of corporate. Decision came down from head office to say, in fact, it was really unfair. Decision came down from head office to say, we now can't work with any suppliers who have less than 2 years of trading history. And I was only at 1 year, and they were my single client. Nice. So they were my biggest client, but they were my single client. Excuse me. So yeah, I made that mistake. I made the mistake of paying for every course that was out there. I fell for every hook, line, and sinker. The secret to success is here, and buy this mentorship and speak to this guru and you'll get this, and I'll send you the exact sales funnel that made me $1 million, and all this kind of stuff. I fell for every single sucker out there. I did not come from a family of entrepreneurs, so there was nobody particularly close to me at that time to guide me, which is one of the main things I've spent the last 5-6 years doing, if I'm honest. The people I surround myself with now are absolutely fantastic, and I always try and surround myself with people that are the level above me, if not even further than that, so I'm constantly challenging myself. Not to say that I drop people, but hopefully we all kind of continue to grow together, and they always continue to be 2 steps ahead of me. Yeah. That would be great for all of us. Yeah, but awesome. That would be my advice, is identify people in your industry that you can partner with, that you complement each other's services, and there's a way of making this work for the customer.
Great. And also, we exchanged a few notes before when we were just discussing having you on the podcast. and we got into this discussion about our mental health, meditation, and all that. Do you want to share a few stories about that?
Yeah, of course. So, look, I don't think it's any secret, is it, that being an entrepreneur is stressful. Some people don't like the word entrepreneur, but whatever you want to call yourself, business leader, business owner, it is stressful. There've been a number of sleepless nights. There's lots of times where you don't even remember what day it is because you've not stopped working for so long. It happens, and we've all been through it. And I think it's healthy. I think we should go through it to some extent. I think challenge is healthy, and it keeps you on your toes. And it also means that it's only the truly motivated that are going to make it to the end. Because let's be honest, if you're not passionate about what you're doing, why would any of us do this? Because the beginning stages are so hard that unless you're so certain that you're going to get there, and you're so certain that this message that you have is going to help people, you would be mental to continue, and I mean that in the nicest possible way. But look, I mean, I suffered from anxiety. I suffered from mental health issues. In my life, I've had depression. I've dealt and battled with depression, anxiety, OCD. I mean, my OCD goes through the roof when I'm anxious, which adds like another 10 minutes onto my day because I have to be checking doors. And this is as a direct result of being an entrepreneur. So I'm not exactly selling the life, am I?
Yeah.
But
when is the reality. I mean,
well, it is the reality. It is, and I think people need to know that because when you know that, and we can talk about it, we can support each other through it. Because I think it's this whole, and I don't want to go all preachy now, but this whole influencer culture on Instagram where people are stood by the Lambos and all that kind of stuff. You don't see the struggle.
Yeah.
You don't see the sleepless nights. You just see the success. You see the big house. You see the girls. You see the helicopter. You see the planes. And I think that's really unfair. I think that's really misleading of people to do that. Because you're effectively saying, buy my course and have my life. Well, yeah, but tell me about the 20 years of nonsense you went through before you got to this point. That's the bit I really need to know about, because that's where I am today.
Exactly.
Now, one of the greatest things that really helped me, and I'd love to share it, because if it helps your listeners, then phenomenal. I'd be really happy to hear that.
Yeah.
I found meditation and guided meditation, in particular sleep hypnosis and guided meditation, were really the things that got me back on track. In fact, I genuinely don't remember the last night I haven't listened to a sleep meditation to go to sleep. If I ever need a moment during the day, I have certain tracks saved and I'll just go and listen to them. And they really kind of help neutralize me, if you want to put it that way. It helps me clarify my thought. I often wake up with a pad and paper next to the bed, and I'll start writing stuff down off the back of these meditations. You wake up inspired. You usually wake up before your alarm. It's a very different feeling to that. The alarm goes off and you don't want to get out of bed, and I can't wait half the time to get out of bed because I want to write these things down, or I want to go and check on Google whether I can do that thing I've just had that idea about.
Yeah.
So the meditation things are huge. The two people I would recommend, because they're free as well, which is phenomenal, and they're both on YouTube, which obviously everybody has access to. There's a guy called Jason Stevenson, Australian guy. In fact, they're both Australian. Jason Stevenson does a lot of meditations. I really like his stuff, and in fact, I'm convinced that he's about 5 or 6 years ahead of me on this journey, this spiritual journey, or whatever you want to call it. Because every time I read about something or learn about something and I go to search for it, he created a video for it about 4 or 5 years ago. So he's always ahead of me. Cool. The other guy is a guy called Michael Seeley. He's another Australian guy. Again, both really, really good. You can just search for guided sleep meditations or guided meditations.
Awesome.
I highly, highly recommend them. Genuinely, I know it's a strange thing for people to talk about sometimes, but I seriously highly rate them. They've really helped bring balance back to my life, which hasn't just made me a better entrepreneur. It's made me a better husband and father as well, because I'm not as stressed as much. I'm much clearer in my thought. I'm much healthier. I've lost 22 kilograms since I started doing these meditations.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
And they are not weight loss meditations. And anybody that doesn't believe me, message me and I'll show you a side-by-side picture of me in the same t-shirt. I was humongous.
All right, that's great. Well, thanks a lot for sharing all those great ideas, and I cannot agree with you. Like meditation, mindfulness, just knowing yourself, That is, I think, the foundation of any entrepreneur. They need to do that before they, take first step into entrepreneurship, because inevitably they are going to run into so many obstacles, so many difficulties. If you don't know yourself, you're just going to be miserable.
You need to know where your flaws are, for the purposes of A, being able to further develop them, for B, being able to outsource that part of your role because they're your weaknesses. Yeah. We all have things to work on. Every day is a school day, is the saying. Every single one of us needs to constantly be learning and challenging ourselves. And it's not always about just learning the things that we enjoy or the things that we're best at. Sometimes we've just got to knuckle down, and none of us particularly enjoyed maths, but I ended up becoming a valuation surveyor at one point. So, you just got to knuckle down and get on with it. And I think being able to know who you are, whether that's through meditation, whether that's through yoga, whether that's through, healthy eating, whether that's through exercise, whichever way you find works for you. In fact, there's one more little secret I'll give you as well, but whatever you find works for you, just stick to it, keep that in your routine and stay motivated, because the irony is most of us stop doing those things when we feel motivated, because we don't feel like we need to, because we already feel motivated now. But you feel motivated because of the build-up of things that you've been doing prior to that. So the second you stop, that's now wearing off again.
Great. Awesome. And is there anything else that you may want to share about marketing, about recruitment and entrepreneurship?
Sure. So there's one little strange one that I'll give you, and then I'll give you a couple of pointers as to how to kind of go ahead and find the people that you really want and attract them to your business, because it's not the way that you'd usually think. But the little tip I'd give you is, and I actually stole this one from Tony Robbins, so it's in good company. I was watching the Tony Robbins documentary. You've probably seen it. It's on Netflix. And it's a lot of following him around behind stage and how he gets ready for his events and all that kind of stuff, and on kind of the science behind it. And I'm a big fan of psychology and the science behind why we do things. So that fascinates me anyway. But it's the personal trampoline. It's the bouncing up and down on the personal trampoline. So I thought, listen, if it's good enough for Tony Robbins, it's good enough for me. So I got this little mini trampoline, and it lives in my home office. And I started doing this thing about 6 to 8 months ago, which was every time I felt stressed or angry or worried, I just bounced for a few minutes. I just put my headphones on, put some music on Spotify, and I just jumped. Little light jog. Sometimes it was more violent if I was feeling particularly frustrated. But one of the things that I found quite quickly was, and I don't know whether this is why Tony does it, but one of the things I found quite quickly was it really enthuses you because of the energy. And it's also really hard to be angry whilst bouncing up and down. Yeah. It's not your body. Even look at me smiling, even doing the gesture. Like, you're bouncing up and down. Your body doesn't want to be going, I'm so angry. I'm annoyed at this client. I'm annoyed at this person. This is frustrating me. It's two unnatural reactions. So I think it's almost like, whether you call it shock therapy, I don't know. But just when you find yourself in that state, get yourself out of it. Get yourself onto a trampoline, get yourself onto a treadmill, do some star jumps, stick some music on, have a dance, just physically shake yourself out of that state, and then get back into whatever it is you're doing now you're primed and ready to go.
That's great. Yeah, well, very well said, and good advice, good reminder. And I saw that documentary as well, a lot of good stuff in there. Yeah, Tony is for sure, he's a master of all these weird ways of encouraging yourself and keep going.
Well, I haven't started the ice bath yet. I'm not quite brave enough. Maybe that will come. Who knows? But I'm enjoying it. All in good time. I have to build up to the ice bath.
Sure. Well, thank you so much for being with us today. Now, before I let you go, can you tell us how people can reach out to you, your website, your email address, whatever you want to share?
Yeah, of course. So best way to get in touch with this is via our website, which is number1propertygroup.com. It's the word number and the digit 1. So number1propertygroup.com. And it's really easy to get in touch with me. It's just Phil, Phil, at number1propertygroup.com. Feel free to connect on LinkedIn and come and say hi. That's where we share most of our content these days. LinkedIn has been just an inspiration as a B2B marketing tool. Yeah. The very last thing I will leave your listeners with as well, because it was a great piece of advice that somebody once gave me, and it really helped me get clients sort of today, which, a lot of people out there will teach you about these long-term strategies and things that can take 6 to 12 months to work. This is something that I use to get my business off the ground. I've used it multiple times, and it works every time, no matter what sector you're in. Okay. you map out where the events are in your industry, the big events in your industry. Now, often, especially within property, these events were quite expensive. You'd have to spend $200, $300, $400, $500 just to get in. And when you're starting out, that's not possible. But for me, the people that I really wanted to speak to in a business were the sales directors usually. I could go through human resources, but then they usually put you in touch with the hiring manager anyway. So to ascertain whether I can actually help, it's usually best if I speak to the hiring manager, and then we figure out a process with everybody involved, HR included, who are extremely important in the process, to sort of plan a recruitment strategy that works. Anyway, I digress. So you map out the events in your industry, and then at those events, each website are trying to sell tickets, right? So they're constantly putting out content. They're constantly tagging people, speakers at the event. They're constantly trying to promote exhibitors. People are paying to exhibit there. So there's lists and lists and lists of these people with contact details on these events. So these are your ideal customers right now who are advertising themselves in front of you. Now, this is a real bootstrapping trick, but I'm being genuinely honest with you here, okay? Because now I do really go to all events. I couldn't afford to go to all those events. So what I used to do was, in the month or two prior, I'd make sure I was sharing with, liking with, engaging with a lot of the content that was being shared, including the content of the writers. This is particularly on LinkedIn. The joy of LinkedIn is, even if somebody doesn't want to connect with you, you can choose to follow them so that you still see their content, which means that you still get the opportunity to engage with them, which usually leads to them connecting with you anyway, provided they still have space to connect, because they see you regularly. Now, about 3 to 4 weeks before the event, I will then start a messaging sequence campaign to say, hi, I'm hoping to be at the event. I was going to suggest that we grab a coffee, but we both know how these exhibitions are. It rarely works out that way. What I'll do is I'll try and swing by and come and say hi whilst we're there. We can put a face to a name, and then we can have a proper discussion after the event.
Great.
Everybody messages back, yep, sounds great, no problem. Look forward to seeing you there. Now, the event, I would go to as many of these events as I could, and I really would genuinely go and talk to these people. The events that I couldn't get to or that I couldn't afford to go to, I would pretend I did. I'd read as many of the write-ups and reviews as possible. I'd share them. And what I'd do is then I'd message people back and I'd say, so sorry to have missed you at the event. Swung by the exhibition stand and you seem to be getting mobbed. So I thought it was best to leave you with your potential customers, which they really appreciate. Should we have a catch up now? Should we book a call in? And now you're already on friendly terms. You've had a number of conversations with this person. You've liked their content. They know that you're interested in the same things that they are because they're still buzzing about this event. You can even throw in some questions in there, like, have you done the event before? Was it successful for you? How did it compare this year? Things that are going to get them interested in talking to you. And it just gets conversation going. And the amount of times that I have conversations like that with people, and the next line is, by the way, Phil, while I've got you, we're looking for this, or this, or we need help with this, and this. Do you do that? And now it's a peer-to-peer thing. I'm not selling to this person anymore. Now they're asking for my help and my advice, and we can talk about a structure and a strategy that works, one that's going to help them and solve their problem, and one that's going to pay my bills.
Awesome.
Because there's nothing wrong for getting paid for doing a really good service. And I think people are scared about the money because it's like, oh, what if somebody asks me the price? Do I tell them the price? Well, if somebody's asking you about the price, it's because they haven't built up enough of a relationship with you to go, I'm really interested in doing some work with this person. I wonder if we can sort a deal out. Because, if somebody's rejecting you on price, it's because they don't trust you. It's nothing to do with price. If it was to do with price, they'd be trying to negotiate with you.
Great advice. Very well said and very well executed. Congratulations on that. Thank you so much.
Thanks, buddy.
It's been a pleasure. And you shared so much information. A lot of value provided. Thank you so much for being with us today, and hopefully you'll come back again for another.
Yeah, I'd love to. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. Thank you. And that's all for now. Until next time. And if you're an existing or an aspiring tech entrepreneur, then I invite you to check out my new online workshop, Bootstrapping Your Tech Startup Dreams. Go to bootstraptechstartup.com and sign up for free. I want to make sure that more successful and sound decisions are made every day in your tech projects. Let's start finding solutions to your problems. So go to bootstraptechstartup.com and I look forward to helping you with your tech projects. If you want more engaging videos and insightful interviews with industry's thought leaders, then check out other videos we have picked for you. The link is right there. And if you want to be notified about our new content, please do consider subscribing to our channel.